Let's see if that worked. It says we're live. I think we might be live. I can see it. I think it's live. Why does it still say private, though?
Yeah, mine says waiting for Keystroke Medium August 5th, 2019.
Refresh it.
I just did. It says 13 people are waiting. It says the same thing.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Wolves are saying an invalid response received. That's just come through.
What a pain in the ass. Stopping live stream. But it says I'm live. It says the internet can see you. To stop, please use your encoder. So the link should be there.
Is there something wrong with the because it's showing up on the there, but it says waiting on Keystroke Medium. So do you have
well,
to
Baird
also
is there,
it?
So Baird can see it because he's talking in live chat right now.
Well, I see the live chat, but the video is
not I'm still in live chat.
Okay, hold on.
I mean, I see the live chat too.
Sorry, guys. We'll if you're watching.
No, but the thing is this is a huge. Once we get this down, this will be a big deal because
a
lot of the people are going through the same thing right
now. Interesting. But I'm wondering where Baird can see us at, because he's saying in the live chat that he can see us.
Well, I'm seeing a different live chat than you're seeing.
Yeah, I must.
Yeah, so can you give us? Do we have the wrong link?
Well, I'm in the.
I'm in whichever link.
I'm not in the link right now. I am in the actual, like, this is the YouTube thing.
Whatever link you sent before.
It's not showing up there.
Yeah, because when I click the YouTube link you shared in Messenger, it takes me to this thing that just says waiting for Keystroke Medium. I don't know where Baird got how Baird got there. It takes me to this thing that just says waiting for Keystroke
he got there off the email just the way I got there, because I'm there now on the link.
Yeah, I got an email. I didn't go to the email.
Let's see, copy. And then here's Keystroke Medium. Check that link out I just put in Messenger and see if that takes you there.
The one from the email still took me to
because I'm on the live dashboard.
I hear you. I'm there.
You'll need a new app to open.
I'm there now.
Yeah. Okay, we've got something happening. Hey.
And for some reason it shows the thumbnail for Ask the Editor. I'm not sure why it does that, but okay, here, let's I'm gonna post this link in the regular chat and have everybody come over. Copy link address, paste. Nope, that's not what I want. Stop you.
Okay, in that last link, we're getting something through on YouTube, but it's very delayed.
Yeah, it's probably going to be delayed. Hey, can one of you guys
do what?
Click and share that link into the live chat from the old one?
Well, I mean, I think you might be the only one that can do that. I don't think we can all drop links.
Ah, crap. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I'll try, but.
Yeah, mine doesn't do it. I could do it in YouTube.
Oh, it worked. Mine dropped one.
In the live chat, really?
Yeah, it doesn't look clickable on my end, but it's a hypertext address, so.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Oh, maybe it's just because I did it. I can see it. I don't know.
No,
Yeah, I think I got it. I got it. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Now, pop out this chat because this is the right one.
Oh, I'm so lost.
Okay. Now that people are coming over to the correct one, holy crap, that was a bear of a process.
Did you write all those steps down?
So
I did not.
Let's talk about our limitations.
Let's do that. Let's do it that way every time. That's our new show. That's our new show intro.
See, really, folks, Josh is being modest. We did this on purpose to demonstrate what happens when you try to exceed your own limitations.
Yeah.
He actually planned this entire thing because he is the supreme overlord, super boss mastermind.
Yes. Wow. That was kind of crazy. Now that we have everybody in the right chat, welcome. Good evening to another episode of Live here on Keystroke Medium. I am Josh Hayes here with Scott Moon and Ralph Kern and Chuck Manley. Man, we're gonna after this live stream is done, we're gonna download this video, chop off the first 15 minutes, and then re-upload it.
You betcha.
Because wow, that was crazy. And I apologize to everybody that was trying to watch. Next week will be a little smoother, hopefully. Because, man, that was nuts. That was nuts. So tonight we're talking about knowing your limits, and with the deletion of Google Hangouts on YouTube, you can obviously see that we've had a fun, interesting time of it trying to get back into the live streaming. Right now we're using a program called Jitsi. It's an open source program and it's free, so that is great for us. And hopefully we can continue to use it and try to get it a little bit smoother process. I thought that I had it figured out earlier today, and I thought that this was going to work correctly, and obviously it didn't, so that's my fault. But we'll get it worked out, and we'll figure out the easiest way to get it done. I prefer to do it on YouTube because Facebook sometimes buries videos, and I feel like we get a little bit more interaction on YouTube than we do on Facebook through the chat, because it's a little easier to work. I don't know. It could be me. But anyway, yeah, it's so hard to navigate it.
Yeah, because even now somebody commented on the thing I did with Lauren and Kayleen, and I went to see it, and it's like I had to actually change the settings to get to the most recent comment. I don't know. It's weird. I don't understand them.
That reminds me, someone wants to post the link in the group so anybody that's coming up later can hop in and they can share it on that post I already did. That would be fantastic. So knowing your limits, this was my idea for a show, and we got several other ideas from the poll that I put up. So we'll probably touch on a couple of those. I think the first two kind of go hand in hand, which is knowing your limits and riding through distractions, which is something that I've been dealing with a lot personally in my writing life. Scott's microphone is muted, I think.
I think I muted myself. Can you hear me now?
He fixed it.
Yeah,
he's back.
I muted myself. I muted myself.
Scott's
lots of comments say the audio and video is really good.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I think I like the setup and the presentation. It's just kind of a pain. So anyway, so one of the things, let's do this. Let's talk about what we've been going through this week like we normally do, and then we'll roll into the topic. We started a little late, so everybody bear with us, and we'll probably go a little longer too, just so we get all the time in. Who wants to go first with what you've been up to?
Crickets.
I'm popping a link into the group, so I'll go last.
Crickets.
Oh, okay.
Crickets.
Ralph, why don't you shoot us? You go first.
Not a lot. I've had a 7-day week at work doing the policey stuff. So not a hell of a lot of exciting things going. It's just been a monster week. Some exciting jobs, but unfortunately, not much writing was going on. But I always like to think those kind of experiences will feature into the writing at some point. But yeah, I'm afraid it's been naff for the writing, which might well factor in into the discussion a little bit later. What about you, Chuck? What have you been up to? It's been a while. It's been a while since we've crossed swords or paths.
A little sword
Give me
fight.
just a minute to get this.
Sorry.
Shit.
Sorry, I just jumped in there and boggled everything up.
Chuck,
Chuck,
you
the
still trying to share it? I got you, brother. I'm right there. Look, I'm clickety. I'm clackety. I'm on there like don't. Oh, Rick did it.
It's like
What was right there?
It's like Rick has come through the fire and the smoke, and he's reached out a hand and he's come with me if you want to live.
All right, so
Rick
well,
wins
that is up there like a boss. Let me tell you. All right. What have I been up to?
Chuck made a little image. I like that. It's very artistic. I like it.
Thank you. Hell, what have I been up to? I am. Today was the first day the kids went back to school, so I had the place to myself. I'm getting back into my routine. Not as productive as I wanted to be, just because, the distractions. I've got to get my discipline back in line. But got a short story that I'm trying to finish up, and then I'm going to get back to work on a urban fantasy series that I'm doing for Athon. And I've still got to finish the most recent Brace Cordova, which I'm actually very close to being done with that. And JR dropped a link for a short story anthology that KJA is doing about monsters in movies, which I think I'm going to put something together for that too. So my son just started high school, first day of high school as a freshman. My daughter just started middle school, so they're going to have band crap and all that stuff going on. But yeah, that's kind of just taking care of my family and writing my books, man. That's my life.
Agreed. Scott, what about you, brother?
Well, did some work, doing the normal stuff. Got some hilarious stories to tell from work that I probably shouldn't tell to protect the innocent. I got some pictures back. I made some frames so I could be like Josh and all the other guys.
I ordered some of mine too.
And I ordered some, what do you call it? Here, I'll grab a prop.
Yes.
So I got a prop. It's going to be hard to see, and I have Josh up on the camera, so I can't see what I'm doing. Let me change that. So I have these sound tiles, right? You see these all the time. And I saw a deal on Amazon, and there's 98 tiles for like $100 or something like that, which seemed like, compared to all the others, it's a really good price. But when I got this box, the whole box they came in was only about this big. I was like, they must not have sent them all at once. Well, they're very, very compressed. And so when you cut the thing open, they literally expand like 400 times their normal size. And now my whole office behind the camera where you can't see is nothing but sound tiles everywhere. And so I've been cutting those apart and gluing them to the wall and making them around the pictures and stuff like that. And then I've been writing on Reaper 5, hoping to finish that by the 14th. We're going to put up on pre-order, working on Brothers in Arms for Ordos Insurance series, and then on to some other projects I have lined up. Probably some more shorty books, the first shorty novel, and then an alien invasion book that I've been like 5,000 words away from being done for about a year. So I should probably finish that and get it out there. And doing kid stuff. And running around, and we're going to the trampoline park tomorrow, I just learned. So that's going to be a good time.
I love when that stuff happens. Like you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we're going to the trampoline park. I just learned.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
like, what's it called? It's called like no, it's not called Aviator. It's called
Elevation.
no, it's called the name of it. They kept saying it like it's. I kept thinking they're saying 88, but it's Aviate because I think you're supposed to jump so high that you fly. I don't know, but anyway, this is huge,
I can see that.
massive. Yeah, huge, massive park.
Yeah, take the time to really read that waiver you have to sign.
I'm not going in there.
You know what really boggles my mind about those places is the foam pits, like the squares of foam.
Mhm.
I really, really want to know how often they actually clean those things.
Oh,
like,
never.
do they vacuum the floors or like
Pretty sure never.
spray the foam down? Because I
Can we
so
make
I
a
have
germ
hardwood.
pit?
I have hardwood floors upstairs, and when I ripped out my carpet out of my house, I just could not believe looking at the pad of the carpet how nasty that pad was after I ripped up the carpet, and that was just from one family living in the house for like I don't know 6-7 years. I can't even imagine hundreds of thousands of kids that don't shower ever jumping into those foam balls.
Snotty
No.
noses, you know.
Yeah.
Just,
I had somebody at work tell me that the average mattress gains like 70 pounds over 10 years from like the oils from your skin and soft off skin. Now there's not, of course I Googled it. And if you go on Amazon, it says it's a myth that because there's this deal on the internet that says your mattress will double its weight in dust mites in 10 years.
no.
And apparently that's not true,
But
I can believe
really
the
do
oil
believe.
thing.
I really do believe the zombie apocalypse will start in one of those foam pits. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah, or maybe a Chuck E. Cheese ball pit.
Yeah, some
Well,
sort of
last time
virus.
I went to one of those ball pits, I was taking my nephews who were young at the point, and you just take them in, and then just this weird guy just surfaced out of the ball pit, and he's like, "What are you? What are you doing? Where are your kids? Oh, I haven't bought any kids. I've just come to play down here." And you're like,
Was he dressed like a clown?
I ain't sure this sucker's going to fly for me. I think we need to have a conversation with management.
Yeah. And that's when it got horribly wrong.
And that's where it went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
I had to take a couple weeks ago. My oldest daughter was in town, and I had to take her to a volleyball camp for 3 days, and it was at the Wichita Sports Forum, and they have a bouncy house in there too. So every day I drop her off for volleyball, and I look over and see all these nasty kids jumping in that, and I'm like, nope.
I think that's where we're going. Is that one over Greenwich and
Yeah.
96?
Yep.
Yeah, we're going there. This place is so big. It's a sports center. It has like 10 full-size soccer fields and 10 full-size volleyball courts, and then there's a huge bouncy thing, and it's enormous. You could only make like something like that in Kansas or Texas or something.
That's right.
Huge.
Guys,
Huge.
let me try and get us back on track and kick off the session with a question from the chat that Dean threw out there, which actually I think is kind of cool. He wants to know, how do we know the difference between when we're actually burned out and just lazy?
Oh wow, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
That's kind of a head scratcher, isn't it?
So I've been dealing with that a little bit in the portion of my writing, and that's where I kind of came up with the knowing your limits thing. Is since going full time, I've been like just flailing myself to do like 4,000 or 5,000 words a day consistently every day, so I can get all these book projects done. For the first few months, it went really, really well. I think in March, I had one of the biggest months I've ever had. March or April was like a 95,000 word month for me. And then May and June were horrible months. July was really good. July was about 68,000. But I kind of had a realization over the last several weeks because I have been pushing myself to do all these words. I would get days where I wasn't even that I had writer's block. I could not force myself to write. And it was just, it was like banging my head against the desk trying to get words. And I had to sit down with my wife, and we talked about it. And I was like, I could probably do 4,000 or 5,000 words a day. But with the kids here, it's all next to impossible because I haven't had daycare. And so my mom comes over to the house about twice a week to watch the kids. But that's it. So then I watch them 5 of the rest of the days, and I don't get any words. I get like 1,500, 2,000 words a day. And it was just like, I was going through like almost literal panic attacks every day because I wasn't getting the word counts. And then finally I was just like, that's just what the summertime's going to be. And I had to be okay with it. And I don't know that it was burnout more than it was just, I realized that I was pushing myself so hard, but it was like between a rock and a hard place, right? Like there wasn't any, I was pushing, but there wasn't any give. There was nowhere to push to. And so I just came to the realization that there's going to be days where I get 1,000 words, and there's going to be days that I get 3,000 words. And I just became okay with that. And one of the authors that I've talked with a lot and worked with, he doesn't do word counts at all. He just says, as long as you do the work of writing during the day, then you're making forward progress, then you're good. And I like tracking my word counts because
it's a slippery slope.
It shows work done, right? And that's how you can track a good work day, typically speaking. But I have come to the point now where until school starts back up again in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm just going to have those days. And at first I thought it was burnout, but then it was just I'm stressing myself out on stuff that I can't control. And so I just learned to just it is what it is.
That's a pretty important distinction. So if you and how do you know it's burnout? I guess would be the first question to answering that is, so are you just like, I'll have days where I don't have the words because I'm like exhausted and I can't stay awake. But if you're like, and so if you have a day where you have all the time in the world and everything's going good and you still don't want to write, is that burnout? Or do you have to do that? Like if that happens to you for a year, or is it then burnout? And what is, I guess we really need to lock down what we mean by burnout.
Well,
burnout,
for me, I can tell you the difference, or at least, from my personal experiences. By no means it's true for everybody. I know I've never gotten burned out on writing, like the totality of writing. What I get burned out on, if I sit down to work and I struggle a lot with the Brace Cordova books. I don't know why, they're just tough for me to write. So if I sit down and I can't write that, but I'd rather go and work on this other thing, I'm burned out on Brace Cordova and I want to work on the other thing.
Yep.
If I sit down and write and I just don't write, I consider that just a bout of laziness, just because there's always something I can do. There's always words. That I'm always interested in. But if I just, if I'm just don't want to write, that's a purely emotional kind of thing. That's just not wanting to be productive. And that, in my opinion, is kind of the epitome of laziness.
If you dread the writing time, that's probably burnout. If you're like, I can't stand the thought of going to
I would agree with that.
So can I add a third? Because you prompted something in me, which is suggested there might be a third part to this. So there's laziness, there's burnout, and there's potentially discipline as well. So what I mean by discipline is that that you've got a project, you've got a deadline, etc., but you've got a shiny thing that you want to work on because that's where your muse is taking you. Yet now, as a professional author, you've got a competing thing which says you can't quite go like when we were on the early stages of our writing careers. You can kind of go where your muse takes you, Whereas once you become professionalized, you perhaps lose that option a little bit. So what you should be doing holds less appeal than what you want to be doing. Does that follow?
Yeah.
But I also think that a stern, disciplined work ethic, good work habit is kind of the foil against both laziness and burnout. I mean, if you sit down and you're disciplined enough to say, I don't give a shit that I don't want to work on this, I'm working on it because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. You might not be happy about it at first, but it doesn't matter if you're lazy or burned out, you're going to do the work. Now, not everyone is that disciplined. I mean, let's face it. Most people are going to play Xbox.
A lot of that. Maybe a topic for later in the show. But, I think a lot of it is just you can sabotage yourselves, and a lot of what we're talking about too. Stephen Pressfield calls resistance. So when it gets hard, your mind finds things that are more fun. There's a couple of questions in the live chat. One of them is, so if you do have burnout, how do you recover from burnout? So thoughts?
Well, since you brought up the Xbox, the stress and the real anxiety that I've been feeling has been focused around and centered around the kids, right? So a lot of people, like, I can sit down and write it. Like, if I have 10 or 15, 20 minutes to sit down, center, and get into the words, then I can just usually sit and write for the most part. The problem is that when you sit down and you center for 5 to 10 minutes and then you start writing, and then a 2-year-old comes in and just ruins that. Yeah. Then that pulls me out for another 5-10 minutes, and then I got to go do what he needs, and then I come back, I sit down, try to center again, and then the 5-year-old needs something, and so it's always a constant, like, back and forth, and that's what was, like, it was stressing me out to the point that I was just getting literally angry every day because I was trying to do the work and the children were not facilitating that, and there was no other recourse. I didn't have any babysitting, or my wife was at work or whatever. And so my wife asked me what I wanted for my birthday, which was yesterday. Happy birthday, me. And I thought about it for a while, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want an Xbox. I haven't had a gaming console in a really, really long time. I loved playing video games, and I just haven't done it in years. And so we talked about it, and we did it. And now, like this morning, it worked great today. I was in a super happy, awesome mood today. And this is what happened. I got up, I did 1,700 words, which is half what I need for the day. And then the kids started causing a ruckus, and I was like, sweet. Closed my laptop, turned on the Xbox, started shooting people. And I can set down the controller and go do what they need to do. And then they come back and I can shoot some more people. And I didn't play all day, but I played for a couple hours, and they were doing their thing and they needed stuff, and they went and left. And then my son went down for a nap. And then I opened up the stuff and started writing again when I knew that I wasn't going to have distractions. And that, for me personally, because even the getting angry part, like, once they went to bed, the getting angry part would shut me down, because then I was so frustrated and angry I couldn't write because it just wasn't there.
I've been there, man. I know what you're talking about.
So that helped me personally, and hopefully, once school starts again and I'll have 4-day-a-week daycare, then it won't be that much of a problem. But yeah, Bart says lesson when the kids drive you crazy, start shooting people on the video game.
On video games. Good thing we have.
I mean, and that's an interesting note. I mean, it's an extension of the burnout, which is, I think that I think it's fair to say that all of us here in this chat, and many of you people in the live chat as well, have come from, shall we say, probably a macho background. So I mean, Chuck, you were Air Force, and then as was Josh, and then the rest of us were cops. We're kind of used to being in a high pressure, high high intensity environments, and then all of a sudden we're put in something where we can manage our own time, and for once in our goddamn lives, we've got a situation where we kind of like manage our own timetables, and it's almost like having that lack of a structure causes us a bit of an issue. And then we need to find ways to address that. Now, one of my big weaknesses, and you know, we're all friends here, is I've got quite bad OCD tendencies. So, like Josh, when I can't do, when I've set my mind on something, and when I've got to focus on something, if I then can't accomplish that for whatever reason, it's not just it annoys me; it's sort of like a sense of rage that overcomes me. That, you know, I can't do that. So like, oh, I'm going to do 1,000 words, and then for whatever reason that 1,000 words doesn't come about. It's not just like, oh well, you know, I'll catch up tomorrow. It's like I ain't happy about that at all, and you know, it does become quite effective, and you know, what are the coping mechanisms for that? You know, you've got to adjust them on the fly. So one of the things I've tried to do is have a fitness first policy at the moment, because I found that's the only thing that really kind of like tempers it. If I try and like sort of key into something that is just completely accomplishable, that I can just switch off and do, and then bang, that kind of boxes off the OCD side, and then I can sink into the writing with a little bit more of a relaxed nature. I don't know whether that makes sense or not, and
no, it does.
you know, I'll probably articulate myself poorly, but you know, I've got to somehow grab that and box it off, and yeah, so that's me. I don't know where that was particularly going, but
we're talking about how you deal with burnout or just being blocked in general, because you know, one person's burnout might be somebody else's temporary writer's block. You know, but I think you know, if you're truly burnt out, you actually don't want to write anymore.
Well, it's one of the things that,
and I don't think any of us have ever been all the way to that point.
No, I never have.
Yeah.
No, and I think it's one of the things that Scott and I we've talked about it before, where it's writing is our chosen career, right? But we forget that there's other stuff. So like for Scott and I, it's family writing, and actually for Scott, it's family work writing. And that's basically how we've split our day, and that's how we've talked about splitting our day for forever. But there's more than that, right? There's like, writing is fun and it makes you happy, but you can't just sit and write all day long. You have to do other things, because then you risk having the burnout, or you risk having where you can get 1,000 words, but you only get 700 because your mind's all smushed, and then you get onto this constant, like in the collective, we talk about word counts all the time, and doing sprints, but you know, there's got to be other stuff out there, so that you're just not completely zeroed in and keyed in.
You gotta cleanse the palate.
And I also think there's something to be said for the fact that getting away from the keyboard and actually getting out in the world, it feeds the art.
It's really peoply out there.
It's really people.
A lot of people.
And not very many of them are very nice, are they, Scott?
Some of the ones that I've met have been less than. I've made a lot of fans. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
you guys operate under the 90-10 rule, and you deal with that 10% that, you know, cigarette butts of humanity and all that good stuff. But I'm just talking about getting away from the keyboard and getting out there, and you know, I think that having some life experiences unrelated to what you're doing in your office is actually very important to feed what you're doing in the office, and help you avoid that burnout kind of stuff.
But that's a comment I just want to jump on quickly, Chuck, because one of the sort of debates that I've been having both with myself and my girlfriend is about when I leave my job, and one of the things that has occurred to me that I think without tooting my own horn, I think I write good action scenes, good sort of like sense of thrill, sense of engagement with a particular type of action scene. And I think a lot of that probably comes from my job, where I literally do that, and I live that. And like Josh, like Scott, and like yourself back in your Air Force career, is that you kind of get that. So I've been kind of like really playing with, do I want to leave full time? And fortunately, I've got the option of clawing down to part time, and yeah, maybe that's something that I would look at. But yeah,
it's a good point, because life experiences do matter quite a bit.
God, this is a bit caring and sharing this session, isn't it?
Yeah, group hug.
Yes,
group hug.
Well, for some reason we went all doom and gloom, and I did not intend for that to be doom and gloom.
Well, we're talking about limitations,
negative.
Yeah.
But, so one of the things that I did also that was kind of positive is that I've been working on 2 projects at once. And one of the positive things that I was able to figure out and working with a collaborator that's open to that is I'm now strictly focused on just doing one because I have a deadline for the end of August. And so I knew not having daycare until the end of August was going to completely ruin any chance I had of finishing 2 books this month, which was that's what I wanted to do. And if I could have the time, I could do it. But knowing that I wouldn't have the time, and knowing that I had to make choices with the time that I had, that was a limitation, was the time available. And so I was able to talk with Jeff, and I'm holding off finishing Ashland while I finish the second Valor book. I'm about 50,000 words in Valor 2 right now. And I'm going to finish that up in August, and then we'll finish Ashland in September, and then continue on. But that was a huge weight off of my shoulders, because I was like, picking up the keyboard and like smashing it on my computer desk because I was so stressed out about not getting the words. And so that and true, Chuck, you've actually had more years of experience of this than I have, but this stay at home summertime dad thing I was not prepared at all for any of that.
I recall us having a conversation when you first went full time, and I was telling you, man, just buckle up. It's not what you think it's going to be.
Oh man! But now I have a really good perception of what it is, and good God, like I remember thinking, man, I'm going to leave and I'm going to get like double, triple, quadruple times the words that I got when I was at work.
Yeah, sure you will.
I'm not at all.
Yeah, see, because you're in a position now, I've been doing this for 14, 15 years now, but the thing is, you're always at work now.
Yeah.
You're either at work at that keyboard or at work as a dad. I mean, you are always at work. And it also, I don't know about your wife, but it took my wife a while to kind of get her head around that there was no downtime for me.
Yeah, we've had to have a couple conversations about that, and especially on weekends, where during the morning times you're home, watch the kids in the morning, I'll go write, and that's hasn't been a struggle. She's been very understanding, but it's Saturdays and Sundays where most people are sitting down to watch TV and have breakfast cereal and all that other stuff. I'm like, oh, there's daycare now. I can go do some stuff without getting yelled at. And she's been very helpful the last couple of weeks and the last couple of months trying to make that happen. So it's getting better. It's getting way better than.
It's an adjustment, man. It's a huge adjustment for a family. I mean, it really is.
You have to get past that where, he's got time to do this, and not just the wife, but probably anybody just assumes that you'd have all this time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who was it you interviewed who said that he was a full-time writer, and he used to go out onto his deck, and he was there drinking a cup of coffee, and his wife would go, "Are you at work?" And he's like, I am. I'm just working through a scene.
I'm working hard.
I really
Can't you tell?
I love that analogy because only a certain percentage, and it varies for people's for different authors. Work is actually at the keyboard. A lot of the time, you just got to process through on how you're going to get through a particular plot point or plot block, and that you can't do that. Sometimes you kind of play with different iterations of the keyboard, but a lot of the times, you kind of like, you want to be efficient about it. You don't want to actually type that crap. You want to. You want to work through it in your mind, and that might just be staring over the horizon while you figure it out.
It seems like half the times, the minute you shut your computer and walk away, the idea comes to you fully formed to what you should have written, but now you're not at the keyboard, so it's just like
I was sitting on my back deck the other night on the back porch. I was smoking a cigar and drinking a scotch, and my wife comes out there. She says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm working." She said, "No, you're not." And I said, "Yes, I am. I'm trying to figure out what the stages of a hyperspace shift are." Because I was working it out in my head for something I was going to write the next day. And she's kind of like, "You're cheating. So fucking weird."
I would teach you, Manly.
It's crazy that I would not have thought that I used to be, I'm always have been historically really productive at my desktop, sitting in my office, ultra super productive. And on my laptop, not so much. I got a new iPad recently to replace the laptop that was going bad. And I found actually that I am more productive on the iPad sitting on the deck than I am down sitting in front of my computer in the office. And I tried to make the switch earlier because I've written almost all of Edge of Valor 2 on this iPad right here.
What is that? That's an iPad?
This is a okay. So this is a. Let me unplug it so I don't pull it off. This is an iPad Pro, but it's got a keyboard on it. This iPad is freaking massive. It's a. This is the size of the iPad. It's a 12.9 inch deal. Super nice, but it's basically the size of a laptop. And I got a case that you can just carry around, and it spins, and it's got a little keyboard, and nice. I can run Scrivener on it, and it syncs with my Dropbox account. And so I can take that out on the deck, and Jay says it's just like a MacBook Air. It is just like a Mac. The thing that I like about this that I don't like about Mac laptops is it's touchscreen, and it's a little bit more functional, I think. But I have written probably 98% of the words that I have written on Valor 2 has been on that iPad, which is weird because I tried to write on my desktop earlier today, and I looked at it. It looked weird. Like I don't know what it was visually about looking at it on the computer, but I was like, I can't do it. I transferred it over to my iPad and read it, continue writing there.
Can I leap on that point if you like? So one of the new techniques I have. So I've got one book I'm working on at home, and one of the debates, shall we say, I've had with my girlfriend was when I go over to hers, I find it really difficult to sink back into the book that I was writing at home. So I've simply started writing the next book in that series at hers. So there's no sort of like cognitive leap between the two. They're when I'm at the girlfriend, I'm working on this. When I'm at home, I'm working on this, and it's like I sink a lot quicker and a lot better into what I'm doing there and then. So we spoke about this. There's something similar to what you do, isn't it? So, or what you did up until this week, which was that you're working on Edge of Valor in one location, your office, and then another book on your deck, and
Yeah, no, I was writing Valor 2 on the deck on my iPad, and I was writing Ashland in the office on the desktop, and that was working very, very well. If I can continue to have when daycare starts up, I probably will do that again, because that was working very well for me. And the work, like what Chuck said about having the burnout on a specific project, I could write 1,500 words on Valor and be bored, and then come down and start a brand new 1,500 words on Ashland. And it's completely different, and it's
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, bud.
You're finished. I was just kind of riffing on the same thing you're saying there. As I was doing that for a while too. I would write in the morning, whatever I write, or my 2-hour pre-work block would be like my deadline project, or my money project, or a project that was with a collaborator that actually sells a lot of books. And then anything after that, I would just own whatever I wanted. But it's one of my books or whatever. So similar thing to break it up.
Moon words.
Yeah. Scary. But yeah, same thing. You have that division mentally and physically in time and space.
I'm not sure how to touch on the writing through distractions more than we already have. I have my iPad upstairs sitting on the kitchen counter, so if I'm upstairs with the kids, I can type. And I find though that the typing that I do when all the kids are running around is more of it's kind of like a telling myself and kind of a like expanded beat version of what I'm writing on, rather than just a strict narrative, like saying they've got to go into a hangar bay and blow up a shuttle and then the shuttle explodes. But I'm not actually typing narrative. It's like stream of consciousness, basically. And so it's still productive. I'm still getting the story done, but it's not actually writing prose. And I found that is a little easier for me to do when the kids are causing a ruckus and I don't have an option.
Yeah. Well, I think when you talk about writing through distractions, I mean, there really is no way to write through it. You're really just flipping back and forth between focused and non-focused. And that's why getting interrupted, like, because we talk about keeping our word counts, and I would keep time spreadsheets so I could check my productivity, how many words are written, how many hours. And so, and I've done it for a long time. I time everything, and I'll hit my watch. And so, like, the most common interruption time for me when I sit down to write at home, if anybody else is at home in the house, is about 32 seconds. Because I will sit down and I'll be like, and then they'll come in and want something, and I'll stop the timer, like, really, 32 seconds? That's all I get? And it's like 30 seconds usually. And the thing is I will make myself available to the whole family, and I'll be hanging out upstairs and not even really doing anything, just kind of hanging out in case they need something, maybe talking about stuff, maybe do some errands. And like, okay, I'm going to go right now. I go sit down, and 30 seconds later, they need something. Like, I was just upstairs for 2 hours. Nobody needed anything then. Anyway, but that's like, but I work a lot throughout the day. And so, like, if I get 5 minutes, I'll write. But the more times you start and stop, the more jacked up you are generally. Yeah. You can train yourself to turn it on and off really quickly, but you really can't multitask. That's actually, your mind can do one thing, and you can flip back and forth between the two things. Because, like, you can think you're writing through a distraction, but what you're really doing is ignoring your kids. Or your moms.
You're absolutely right.
I found out the hard way the one time that the family was home on a weekend, and I decided it would be a good idea to put in earplugs to do my writing while they were all here.
Yeah.
And the wife was in there just Chuck.
They send the kids for me now because I have my sound canceling headphones on and music.
The rest of that day is kind of a blur.
Yeah.
Jordan came down the other day. I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday. And she runs down the stairs, and she talks like a 4-year-old, right? So some of the stuff she says doesn't make any sense. But she comes down the stairs and she goes, "Mom, Dad, Mom needs you." And I'm like, "Okay, what?" She's like, "The table is falling on Mom." What are you talking about? And so whenever I go upstairs,
That's where you need to unleash your dog, isn't it? Well, the table has fallen on, Mum. You're right there.
Been fed around the well. And you're like, well, I got 5 minutes left in this writing sprint. It's going to have to wait on the
Be right there.
table.
Just give me 5 minutes.
Is she critically injured?
So I go upstairs, and it wasn't, in my mind, it was the dining room table. And we've got a pretty big dining room table. And I'm thinking, how did the table fall on Jamie? It's on 4 legs. There's no way she can pick it up. How did it fall? So I get up. Jordan runs straight through the dining room. Like, where's Mom? Runs into the bedroom, runs around to my side of the bed to where the bedside table is. And it's just this little bedside table. And it's got like my phone charger and the Kleenex box and a lamp. And Jamie's sitting there holding it, looking at me going, I need you to hold this table so I can we've got these like lifts under the table so they'll level with our bed because our bed's high. And she had twisted it and it had come off the lift and she was holding it level so she could get it back on. I was like, well, there went a whole bunch of my writing time because you were readjusting the end table.
Right, because that's not nearly as life-threatening as it sounded.
It wasn't nearly as life-threatening at all.
One of the I've got very into my Marco Cluse books at the moment, which means by extension I've been reading his blogs and whatnot, and trying to take some steps to get him on the show. But he's a bit of a recluse.
We try to.
No pun intended. But one of the things he says is that he's like kind of withdrawn from Facebook and all kinds of social media, which makes him quite difficult to get hold of. And he says like, and the reason he gave on his blog was like 5 minutes of like engagement on Facebook means 15 minutes loss of focus on my writing.
That's probably true.
That's actually
so any kind of engagement, it just means 20 minutes are gone, and you only need 3 engagements to lose an hour. And I certainly know that sort of if I let myself, I can have like probably a dozen a day, if not more. But
I have 5,000 friends on Facebook, so that's probably.
I'm taking it off my phone. There are several weeks that I just take it off my phone, like Messenger and regular the Facebook app and all that stuff. I'll just take it off my phone, and then I need to take it off the iPad too when I start working, because man, you get those notifications and it just sucks you right in.
Oh God, the collective is a nightmare, isn't it? And I've had to sort of like every now and again, I'll kind of like ebb and flow back in and forth, and
read the back scroll.
Read the back scroll. You've got 200 gifts from Devon or something.
The gifts are the best part, really.
Yeah.
I made a pledge today that I was going to speak only in gifts, and I'm not really sure how long that lasted.
It lasted until the catastrophe of
this happened. Yeah. Let's see. I don't know that we've had any other questions come up in the live chat. We've had a lot of stuff. Again, sorry for everybody that was in the live chat earlier on the other feed. I'm not really sure what happened because it looked like it had set up correctly and it went correctly, but hopefully we can keep this rolling for the next broadcast, and it'll be a lot easier for people to get in. The best way to get in, it looks like, is if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and then hit the notification bell, because then you'll get if you have YouTube on your phone, not only will you get a push notification through YouTube, but you'll also get an email through your Gmail account or whatever account you have linked to your YouTube, and that should bring you straight into the video when we go live, which I'm not sure if we're going to be able to post the show links ahead of time because of what happened tonight. So it might just be you're going to have to just know that we go live at 8, which you should know that anyway, and then just wait for the push notification to come across, and then we'll share it in the group once we're live, obviously.
I've got a relatively quick response to Bill Frisbee's question on what is your editing process like.
Oh yeah.
So Bill's asked, what's your editing process like? For example, I will do my first read through, then the second read through, then I'll start running through various pro reading aid reports, and I'll do another read through to fix any formatting issues that pro writing aid introduced. So my process is I'll lay down a first draft, and I'll pretty much go stem to stern as quickly as I can. I won't give much thought to consistency or it making an incredible amount of sense. Then I will have a second read through or edit through where I will try and make sure it's in some kind of structured order, so the plot points are happening in a cohesive, coherent manner. I will then have a third edit through, which will be a character edit through. So now I will go through and I will add character to to my characters. So I'll make sure that they start to exhibit personalities. They'll start to just show what I want them to show. And then the next one will be a descriptive read through. So I will start to expand on descriptions and exposition and those kind of things. And then I'll have a final read through, which will be just to sort of like kind of have a self-proof. I will then put it through to my editor, who will give me a good slap for all the rubbish I've provided to her. I'll make those corrections and then send it through to a proofer, who will then make sure that everything's shipshape. I've tried really hard to get my editing cycles down as much as possible, because I think as a professional author, you've got to make these things as efficient as possible. So when I've done my original or my first couple of novels, I'll just go through them and through them and through them, and literally dozens of times. Now I go through them and I've got a specific purpose as to why I'm going through them on each pass. So
I've heard lots of people say that. Yeah, I've heard that lots of authors that they recommend that. A lot of professional authors, that's a way to be focused and get a good result. I've tried it. I see too many shiny things.
Yeah.
Like
don't get me wrong. I don't if sort of like as I get to a bit and I think, oh, I've got a really good impression in my mind's eye about what this should look like while I'm going through the character edit, and I'll put it in there, and then but I won't smash it. I'll polish that in the next one. But yeah, I'm trying to get the amount of work throughs down. We've got some good friends, Devon and Nathan especially, who've made it into an art to sort of like do 3 passes and it's done, and it's out there. And I'd love to get to that stage, but I know I'm not. But so yeah, that's my editing stages anyway.
You can definitely get tangled up.
I want to touch on that just a little bit, because I had kind of a new experience editing with a short story that I did in the Ashland universe. But real quick, I want to talk about the show sponsor for tonight's episode, and then we'll get back to that. Speaking of Nathan, the show sponsor for tonight is Return to Red Creek by Nathan Heisted. It's the sequel to his Red Creek horror series. Just came out on the 30th of July. Doesn't have any reviews yet, so if you buy it, read it and review it. Paul Allen thought the fire had cleansed the orchard. He was certain the ties with the shadow had been severed. He was dead wrong. 10 years have passed since Paul and his family left Red Creek for good, but his daughter Taylor, forbidden to return, rushes to visit her cousin after a young girl vanishes in the oppressed town. They quickly learn that the Smiths' terrible clutches over the region are still at play, and the shadow is growing stronger. Meanwhile, Detective Tom Bartlett drives headfirst into the lore of Red Creek, unsure of what's real and what's an urban legend. Paul, Taylor, and Tom must fight for the truth before the curse continues for another generation. All questions surrounding Red Creek and the mysterious shadow will be answered in this highly anticipated sequel from the best-selling author Nathan Heisted. Comes a tension-filled thriller you won't want to miss. Of Doom.
That's Bartlett. That is brilliant.
Tom Bartlett. I like that.
Tom Bartlett.
One, and I actually really enjoyed it. Nathan did a good job on that book, so
I really loved
to it.
His prose in Red Creek, his prose was really, really good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yep. So go pick it up, man. Return to Red Creek. Go support Nathan Heisted. Do it right now.
Because he's just an awesome dude.
Because he's an awesome dude.
He is pretty nice.
He's a bro.
I would totally jump over a tall fence and run across rocks at Samstown and just to greet him.
That's true. He did do that. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, you know what? I can't wait for Vegas this year. It's gonna be great. And Chuck, you need to go this year, man.
Yeah, I'll talk to the boss about it. We'll see.
Chuck.
I might be able to pull that off. I obviously can't go to the conference. I guess the conference is sold out, right?
Yeah, but you can still go hang out with us.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This year might actually.
Would that turn into like a bad part of the Hangover movies? Like,
oh yeah,
little Chinaman in the boot of your car.
We're definitely put a mattress on the hotel at Sam's Club, right on the roof. Okay, so talking about editing practices, I did something new on a short story that I just wrote, which actually this rolls into process as well. With Ashland, I am about 58,000 words into Ashland, and I love the story. It's really cool. It's Mad Max in space. There's a bunch of gnarly car chases and guns and people getting hacked up and really fun. But I was coming up on some issues with it, and it was not slowing me down, but it was like, when you get into a story and you're like, this just doesn't feel right, and I don't know why it doesn't feel right, but I'm just going to write through it. And so J.R. Hanley has this post-apocalyptic anthology that he invited me to a long time ago, and I was like, hey, I'll do a tie-in for Ashland because it's post-apoc, and I'll write a short story in that universe for one of the secondary characters in the novel and kind of his backstory. And so I got into that short story, and I got about 6,000 words into that short story, and I realized everything that I was saying coming from the novel was wrong, changed it all, and worked great. Everything worked out the way I wanted it to. It changed a lot of stuff that I needed to do in the novel, but it made it all better. But anyway, I wrote it in Word, and then I know, whatever. And then I ported it into Pro Writing Aid, and I've never used Pro Writing Aid before, but it was pretty legit. Like finding it was finding not only words that were spelled wrong, but just like sentence structure, that if you did this, it will make your sentence easier, and the readability of all, like going through and running those passes on it. I'm sure that there were words that were still wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I caught a lot of them just on, running the squiggly line in Word, but then also running the Pro Writing Aid stuff too. Yeah. And that was pretty legit. I've never done it on a novel before. I probably will if I have time for Valor, run Pro Writing Aid on Valor for just go through the chapters and stuff. But on that short story, it worked great. I loved it.
Yeah. Pro Writing Aid is legit, man. I use that too.
Well, anything you can use to make your editor's life a little bit easier, in terms of they've got to focus less on their issues and more on, is the sentence structured correctly? Can I recast things? And editors are on time frames as well, aren't they? Normally they have a couple of weeks on your thing, on your work before they've got to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And so anything you can do to make their life easier means that they can focus their efforts and attention more on things that matter and that they can make a real difference on. So yeah, I like the sound of that pro writing aid.
It's pretty legit. I can't remember that it was super expensive, but on
like
Mac it comes with an app.
Like that.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It comes with an app that you can
It
just
was
cross-load your
super
document.
expensive. Yeah, and I actually used it on Master of Hounds.
Oh yeah.
And and it worked. I mean, it took a while because it was a much bigger document, but it worked.
I usually do it by chapters in Pro Writing Aid. I'll do one chapter.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense. I'm just not that smart.
Chuck, you shut up. You're like the smartest one out of a lot of us. So
I think I'll use it definitely per chapter.
Bill Frisbee wants to know what reports you use with.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
I usually do them in different. Well, I used to do them all, but but now I usually start with repeated words or overused words. I do that first, and then I will do usually the writing style, and then I will do grammar, and then I just go through. Then we'll make my phone read it to me to make sure it doesn't sound stupid, and then send it to the editors.
Yeah, and I always make sure I click that delete double spaces thing because I'm bad about double spacing in places. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty close to the same format I go with.
There's like 15 different ones. You can do different types. There's different levels of style, and I think if you pay for the real expensive version, you can do a plagiarism check if you're writing like school papers and stuff like that. But
no, I wouldn't want to get caught.
Yeah.
You certainly wouldn't want to catch yourself.
You would think that some people would check that out. So I'm looking at it right now, and it's $70 for 1 year, $100 for 2 years, $140 for 3 years, $240 for a lifetime. So not very expensive at all. I don't even know what plan I'm on, but
$240 for a writer's lifetime. That's like 3 years for like $80 bucks.
Yeah. It's pretty legit, and I definitely recommend it. I have Grammarly. I have the Grammarly app installed in Chrome, and so like it's actually pretty cool. It'll show me like real time while I'm typing messages in Facebook. Like, you're using the wrong word here. I'm like, I know, I just don't know how to spell. Just let me finish the message, and then I'll be done with it.
One of the things I quite love is that people expect writers to be good at grammar and spelling and shit.
Yeah.
Rubbish. We're like the worst at it. We just like we spaff words onto a page. That is our job. Editors.
That's right. That's why we need editors, because they're good at that shit. We just tell the story and they make it pretty.
I had to write a post-it note at work yesterday or the other day, and I had to go get my phone out and spell check it because I knew if I wrote a post-it note that was spelled wrong and stuck it up there in the office that I would get no end of grief.
So I always have a bad habit of stuttering and then saying the wrong word if I'm trying to talk really fast to my wife or the kids, and I'll get mad at the kids and just say the complete wrong word. I'm like, come over and sit on the canoe. And my wife is like, what are you talking about? You're a writer. And I'm like, I'm a writer, not a talker. I don't do that. Right. Talking doesn't give me the little red squiggly lines.
Exactly.
One of the things that me and the girlfriend do is we quite like our debates. So we like to sit in a bar or a pub or whatever, and we'll have a debate. And she thrashes me every time. It's like, can we do this in writing? Because I know I will absolutely destroy you. But you're just crucifying me at every opportunity. I'm just left feeling like an idiot.
Finely worded response.
That's right.
I'll think of a really good response in like half an hour or so. Like once I've mulled it over.
Just tell you're going to get a wicked email when you get home.
I think a good way to cap off this episode, which we haven't done a cap off round on the episode in a while on live, and I kind of want to do it for this week, and then yeah, like a test pop. And because I think next week's going to be a roundtable as well. I just want to double check on the calendar. Yes, it is. So next week's going to be a roundtable as well. And kind of what I want to have a little bit of homework for us on the show, and then also for the people that are watching live.
Great idea.
So we're talking about limitations. We're talking about doing what we can do and pushing through. So for you guys this coming week, Monday to Monday, what are your writing goals, whether it's word count a day or finishing a book or finishing a chapter or whatever? Specifically, what is something that you're setting yourself up to do that you can realistically do? And then realistically, no, this is not a dream catcher thing. This is all real. So we know the limitations of our work. What is it this week that you are going to strive to do? And for me, I'll go first so you guys can think about it. I am striving for between 2,500 and 3,000 words a day. And so that I can push through and get to a good place on Valor 2 and not be behind. But that is my realistic goal for this week, is to do 2,500 to 3,000 words a day on Valor 2, and then not be stressed and freaked out about it. So for a point of reference, right now I am at, let's see, I am at, just so we're on the same page, I'm at 50,340 words on Valor 2. So when we come back next week, we will have updated that, and we'll see if I kept up my goal. Who wants to go next?
I need to finish Reaper 5 by the 14th, which I'm at 38,000 words. Needs to be about 70, I think, is where my outline is going to take me in the story arc. So I'd have to do the math, but I'm going to say I probably need a good solid 4,000 words minimum. And it's because I don't really know if that's healthy, if I'm going to keep trying to do that sort of thing, but it's kind of do or die for me right now. I just got to get it done. So I'm going to say that I would like to actually have Reaper 5 done by the next show, by Monday.
Wow.
That's my goal.
That's a pretty steep goal.
It's steep and it's bad, but I mean, I gotta do it. For me, if I have to like push myself mercilessly, or I'm kind of like, I'm either going as hard as I can up or as hard as I can down. Yeah. I'm either flying.
And I know Mrs. Moon wants one of those things.
Oh yeah. Yep, that is true. At least 5 minutes. Let me go
every show, Raph. Every show.
Let me bring her down here and we'll see what she says. I'm sure she'll be more than happy to talk about it.
I can be like this for you, but no.
Raph's got a question for you.
She'll be on the next plane for London with a can of whoop ass and a carry-on.
Yeah, I'll have to go into hiding. Right, my goal is I'm on 65 of book 4 of the Great War, 65,000. So I'd like to close that off. I'd hope that the first draft will be closed off at around 70k. So that is my goal. And then we'll take it from there. Shipmeister General.
Okay, so you guys have all these word counts and shit because I guess that motivates y'all. Numbers don't motivate me at all. So I don't keep track of my word counts. But I will say that I've got a short story that I am bound and determined to have done before the week is out. And I'm going to take it out a little bit further and say that I want the first book in my Jack Dark series done by the 1st of October. Because I don't know. I'm about halfway through that, I guess. A little less, maybe.
So you think you'll have the short story done by the next show?
Yes, I believe that I will, yes.
Let's
Yes.
do it. We should
Now
read.
that the kids are back in school and I've got my days to myself, my productivity is going to start going back up. So, and I've got all my other shit handled, and I'm in my new house and all that. So,
We're like accountability partners. We should read off some, or we could read off some of the goals from the live chat.
Yeah.
Most people-
Let's see. Baird has a goal of figuring out how to get figure out how to get unstuck in the scenes I'm stuck in for half orc kindred. Tom Hoddle says my goal is to get this draft of Storming Armagosa done by next Sunday. Good luck with that. Dean says when I get stuck, I interview myself and ask why I'm stuck. Then I usually get unstuck. Let's see. Rick says my goal is to keep writing 2,000 words per day in Wholesale Slaughter 6, 1,000 words a day in I can't remember if it's Badass Mercenary Forces or some BFM.
Broken Arrow Mercenary Forces.
Yeah, Broken Arrow. Same acronym. Broken Arrow Military. Number 3.
Broken Ass Mercenary.
Broke ass military.
Broke ass motherfuckers.
Broke ass
Is what it
motherfuckers
stands
3. Broke ass motherfuckers 3, and that's he's going to finish the outline on that book.
We won't be there.
Sorry, Rick.
Sorry, Rick.
oh my God, that's great.
Jay Olivier says his goal is to begin the short story that he wants to submit for an anthology. Has a deadline for the 30th of October. And Guy's goal is a truly epic goal, and his goal is to have a goal. So
that's
I'll drink to that. I'll drink
You're on the right track, buddy.
I hope it works out for you, Guy. I really do.
Into a logic loop.
Yeah. So we read it over, and that's fine. Again, guys, sorry about the whole shenanigans with the live stream today. Hopefully next week we'll have it figured out. We've got a couple of roundtables coming up before we have another guest, so hopefully we can get all this stuff ironed out over the next couple of weeks and make sure that it's a smooth transition away from Google Hangouts. I think I like the look of Jitsi. I think once we got it started and rolling, I think it went really well.
Yeah.
The thing, we're looking at different platforms and different models, but some of them are pretty expensive to use, and I'm all about not spending money. So the cheaper, the cheaper, the better, in my opinion. But as long as it's functional, I think it'll work. So everybody that struggled through it with us and then hung out for the long haul, thank you guys. Everybody in the live chat, we appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us on Mondays as always. If you're listening on the audio feed, please come and check us out on YouTube. The live feed is definitely where it's at. Maybe next week we'll give some stuff away. Hint, hint, wink. Wink. If you'd like to be considered for the giveaway, you can go to keystroke.com and then sign up to be a Mediums member just by clicking on the Mediums tab, putting your email address in there. It is not a newsletter. We will not send you deals or hot items of the month, coupons, nothing. The only thing your
pictures of our cat.
We might do that.
Pictures of my coyote.
The only thing that email is for is so that you can win, and it's super simple to get on. So if you're into that kind of thing, getting free stuff like this mouse pad here, that mouse pad, or a coffee cup or hats or whatever, go sign up. And Rick says he wants pics of Scott's coyote, so go do that. Everybody, thank you so much for coming and hang out with us Monday night. It was a blast as always. For Chuck Manley, Scott Moon, and Ralph Kern, I am Josh Hayes. We have been live on Keystroke Medium. Come back next time. We're going to talk about some reading. We're going to talk about some writing, and sometimes a little bit in between, right here on Keystroke Medium. Peace.
Later.